Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA. It's 409. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night. I'm Eunice versus Cortez. That was all really fast. Charles, this is going to be the prelims. This is Charles Johnson versus Joshua Van. We're going to break down all of the fights on the prelims, talk about everything, go through them round by round. Still think this was better than UFC 303, even though during my first breakdown of the first video, there's some stinker fights, but I still think this card is better, and we'll talk about why going forward here. So if you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. The next video is coming out. Let's talk about some fights, shall we? Charles Johnson taking on Joshua Van. Now, I love Charles Johnson, so it's hard for me. It's really hard for me to remain neutral, unbiased. But I think I can explain myself in a way that hopefully doesn't make me seem biased, because the commentary would not shut up about how good Van was doing, and I just didn't see it. Dominic Cruz, I love Dominic Cruz, man. I really do. This is one of those moments where his commentary got too technical, and he was starting to praise things that have very little offensive implication or practicality. I'll explain to it when I get to it. Kicks from Johnson are keeping Van at range. Van enters. He's normally a slow starter. Van is, right? Van enters, but Johnson dodges and then comes back with a ton of volume. Even in the clinch, Johnson with the volume and the control. Van is walking forward, but still waiting too much before throwing. I mean, the striking numbers in this first round, 44-22. And yes, Van landed a couple good shots in here, but Johnson landed a bunch of really good shots. Total striking, 46-27. That didn't make it that much closer, right? So what are we looking at here? Van looking for the right hand all day, but Johnson rolls and returns. Van did not do enough. Johnson just, like, his output put him way out in front. There's just no way you can give this round to Joshua Van. No way. No way. But the way the commentary was going, it seemed like Van was out in front. I did not see it. Second round, Johnson keeps landing, but Van doesn't care and keeps walking him down. Van is finding the mark with more often in this round. Johnson's rolling and still avoiding the flush damage. Really close round. The damage could be even or slightly to Van, so the pressure from him makes a difference. Now, looking at the striking numbers here, this big, scary red bar is not this is 8 strikes, 44-36. Van did not outstrike him by very much. In this second round, do I think Van won? Yes. Was it close? Relatively. I thought the striking numbers were pretty close. I thought the output was pretty close. I thought Johnson landed a bunch of really good shots in here, but Van clearly landed as good, if not better, shots. And then if you are close on the damage, you give it to Van because he was the one advancing forward. I gave this round to Van, so I had it 19-19 going to third. You cannot there is no planet where Van is up 2-0. Last round, Johnson sitting down on his shots, landing the hooks, going for it, landing big, finding the uppercut and putting him down. Holy shit, that was awesome. Just putting his lights out. This was fantastic. And I was more excited because of the way he was being talked about, like the way the fight was being talked about by the commentary team. Great post-fight speech talking about, like, give me a ranking. It just awesome. I love watching him fight. Scorecards all over the place. Mark Sanchez giving that second round to Johnson. I don't think so, man. I really don't. As much as I like Johnson, and I did, like I said, closer round than the way the commentary was making it seem, I don't know how you give that second round to Johnson. He's backing up the whole time like he was in the first round, but he got outstruck this time. And the damage was so damn close, if not in favor of Van. Van probably did more damage anyway. Let's just say he did more damage. Like, how do you give that round to Johnson? Chris Lee. How? He gave the first round to Van, which I said clearly goes to Johnson. Second round, if you thought that first round went to Van, how do you give that second round to Johnson? How do you see a man perform better, closer in, land more shots, do more damage, advance more if not the same amount, and then give the round to the other guy when the other guy did less? How do you do that? Chris Lee has put up a lot of stinkers. When I saw the scorecards, I saw this one ahead of time. Somebody posted up on Twitter. There's also a lot of stuff going on last night. I don't want to get into it. That's not what this channel is about, so it's not my... It's not what I talk about, right? It's not that I don't have opinions or that there are, like, I'm not aware of the things. I'm very aware of what happened at the rally. Totally get it. I am very aware. So on Twitter, I was going through and looking at stuff, and then the scorecards came up. So normally I wait till now to look at the scorecards with you, but I saw it. So I was worried for the rest of the night because Chris Lee was judging, and he was on the Ponzinibbio. He did score the Ponzinibbio. Good grief, I went too far. When I heard that he was the one who was going to be the deciding factor, right? Because they read Eric Colon and Dean Abeda's scorecards, I was like, oh, Chris Lee's going to fuck this up. He's going to fuck it up. Some nights, he hides away, or he gets it right, or it's made so easy that you can't get it wrong, right? But in this case, I don't know how he did this. I don't know how he thinks that Joshua Van did better in the first round than he did in the second round in comparison to Johnson. That first round, Johnson was picking him apart. And yeah, he was backing up, but he's picking, does Chris Lee think that octagon control and moving forward is offense? And then Dan Abeda gave both first and second round to Van. Again, I disagree. I think all three scorecards here are bad scorecards. Where's Saul D'Amato when you need him, No, I'm serious. All three of those scorecards are bad scorecards. Even if you're the biggest Charles Johnson fan, that's a hard argument for round two. And if you're the biggest Joshua Van fan, that's a hard argument for round one. Meanwhile, Mark Sanchez gives both rounds to Johnson. Dean Abeda gives both rounds to Van. I already disagree with both of those. And then Chris Lee, you figure, oh, well, he's given one round each, so he's going to be the one. Nope, he flipped the fucking rounds. Did them backwards. Unreal. And like I said, after I saw that scorecard, I was worried for the rest of the night. I'm like, oh, man, they're going to be on one night. It's going to be bad. Luckily, they weren't needed as much, and there wasn't a lot of deciphering in some of these fights. Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Fatima Kline. Fatima. I wish how the third round went. I wish that's how all three rounds went. It's more fun, more exciting to watch. Kline landing a nice 1-2 and then timing the takedown. Jasudavicius gets the sweep, gets on top, and she's on her back for the rest of the round. Not the most exciting round, 10-4 for striking numbers in favor of Jasudavicius, but not much going on there. Kline finding the chin when Jasudavicius enters, only looking to counter right now. Jasudavicius controlling the clinch in the cage. Kline gets the back, but then loses it and ends up on bottom again. Got outstruck here, 17-16. Jasudavicius won these first two rounds. You can boo her all you want, but she's doing what she needs to do. Last round here. Okay, Kline has a path to victory with more volume in the striking. She just needs to go for it. That's literally what I wrote down. They cut back in. Apparently, that's what her corner told her as well. Kline offering a lot more out there in this round, finding the mark with a few right hands. Jasudavicius is wobbly, but she's still engaging. Kline is slowing down, but she's still throwing hard. Jasudavicius wants to clinch, grind it out, and she did enough damage in this round because she ends up getting the takedown and getting on top, and she's on top, she's controlling her for 2 minutes and 50 seconds. She did enough, right? She did get outstruck here, 19-13, and if you really wanted to give this round to Kline for damage and you made that argument that she was so far ahead, maybe I could agree, maybe I could hear you out. I don't see it. Looking at the scorecards here, all three judges had it the same way. So, yeah, that's how it was, man. And then the crowd was booing her. Relatively boring fight. I wish how that last, I wish how that last round went, right? Where it was back and forth before the takedown, where there was a lot of striking before we just had to sit there and do nothing. That's what I wanted a little bit more of. I felt like Kline could have done some damage in there. Damon Blackshear versus Montel Jackson. I could pull up stats, but I don't need to. Actually, I'm a little curious. Yeah. Oh, it says 4 strikes. He says he landed 4. Oh, because those are on the ground. Those don't count. 3 of... So on the feet, Montel Jackson landed one shot, 1 punch, 1 left hand, and he's down. That's it. 1 left hand, and then the other 3. So really, he landed 1 punch, and this fight was over. 18 seconds into the fight, 1 punch. Those follow-up 3 shots don't mean anything. They were all on the ground and the guy was out already. Not mad at it. I'm just saying, like it's more impressive what he did than what it shows on the stats. He landed 1 punch, and the fight was over. Whew. All right, another one that didn't last too long. Mariya Agapova versus Luana Santos. You know, Agapova has some skills in the stand-up, but she's got a lot of work to do on the ground. Santos finds a mark with a right hook and tight looks to drop Agapova, and then gets a hip toss and gets her down. She gets on top, goes for the arm triangle, takes the back, and gets a rear naked choke finish. Super smooth. 2 minutes and 23 seconds of control time into that. 3 minutes and 27 seconds into the fight, she gets the finish. Beautiful, beautiful finish, beautiful groundwork. Agapova, like I said, she's got some skills. She's got to tighten up her stuff. She can't be doing that. Josh Fremd versus Andre Petroski. Again, not the most interesting fight to watch. Okay. I still maintain this is better than 303, even though I'm going back and realizing a lot of these were stinkers. Well, not a lot of them were stinkers. Some of them were just the longer fights where a lot of people are sitting on top. I'll tell you, go back and watch 303. Not good. And this is a fight night. Another pay-per-view. Fremd landing a nice jab, Petroski getting in on a single leg on top, and Petroski on top the whole round, right? 4 minutes and 29 seconds of control time. Second round, what happens? They exchange hard kick attempts, and Petroski gets a single leg again on top. Petroski gets the mount with the arm triangle attempt. He didn't commit to the finish, which is one of the things that I dislike when I see this kind of domination on the ground. When you get to mount and you get into that arm triangle position, it's like he wasn't trying to finish it. He was just using it as an exhaustion tactic, which is fine, and it's going to win him a fight. I just dislike it because he was so deep on that arm triangle. He makes a few adjustments there and gets his head a little bit lower, gets the hand a little bit higher, forcing that shoulder into the carotid. I feel like he could have got the finish even from mount, even if he didn't want to jump to the side, which I know a lot of people don't want to do because they give up position doing that. I understand. I get what he was doing. It's not my favorite thing to watch. Fremd coming forward, throwing hooks, knowing he needs a finish here. The flying knee, and then Petroski gets a takedown, and that's the rest. 4 minutes of control time. So, I mean, not a fun fight to watch, but technically, not a fun fight to watch. Not. I don't recommend that one. All right, Evan Elder versus Darrius Flowers. Elder looking to circle off and land the right hand with Flowers throwing a bunch of kicks out there, looking to advance. Flowers is finding the jab, talking to him and rolling off to avoiding that right hand coming back. Both guys go for takedowns. Flowers actually gets the better of it, gets lower on the takedown, I think he did have double underhooks, but Elder uses his double overhooks, clamps down on him, and as they go down, hits the reversal on him. Beautiful stuff. He ends up on top, but then they immediately get back up. Flowers with a half-ass takedown ends up on bottom. Not a close round, right? There were moments where Flowers could have landed some stuff, but it looked like, from what I saw in the second round, Flowers was like, I got one round in me. I'm going to go for it. Let's see. I'm going to talk shit, see if I can get him to engage, get in a firefight, go 50-50. And, hey, let the cards fall where they may, or chips fall where they may. Apparently a low blow from Elder across the cup, which it was, low blow from Elder. Gives Flowers like a 4-minute break. Flowers times the takedown perfect, gets on top, but leg lock sweep, and then Elder gets on top, and then he gets the mount and the arm triangle, right? He gets the mounted arm triangle finish. Beautiful finish by him. Elder looked great. I thought Flowers looked good for the most part. He just gassed out. I think he might have stepped up on short notice for this one. But, Denver's no joke. I've been there as a kid multiple times. Obviously, I've been there as an adult multiple times. And I can tell you that doing physical activity there, even if you're acclimated for a week, it's different. It's not the end of the world. Some people, you'll hear people who don't exercise at all, right? Your average person. they'll go out there and be like, oh man, it's brutal. And then some of them be like, I don't even notice, because they don't do anything while they're out there. Like, I can barely tell. Like, yeah, no kidding. All you did was sit in your car and go eat McDonald's. Like, you're not going to get tired doing that shit. But some people, they get off the couch here and then they go to Colorado and they start walking around. They're like, oh man, it's brutal out there. Man, it feels like I was going to die. It's like, well, yeah, man. Like, you don't exercise at all, first of all, and then you go out there and you have less oxygen and you're deconditioned. Of course, it's going to be harder. But for people who do train often, people who are cardiovascularly advanced, I would call it, right? People who take care of themselves and are actively exercising to move well, right? Not necessarily like a power lifter or a bodybuilder or like a sport-specific type of thing, but people who are generally in good shape and can take care of themselves and have good cardiovascular health. When you go out there, there is a difference. It's undeniable. And when you're doing things, you can still push through it. Everything is just harder. It's just worse, right? So you got to imagine when you go into the octagon and you're out there, and again, some of these guys, you can talk all the shit you want. Like, I know a lot of these reporters, like these MMA reporters, they like to talk shit about MMA fans. I get it. And like, especially during, the 2020, 2021 seasons where they're like, oh man, you think you're in better shape than these fighters? Look, they're getting sick. You could get sick too. Yeah, okay, all right. But let's put some context on this, huh? Like, I'm not cutting weight. I'm not rolling around with a bunch of sweaty dudes. I'm not compromising my immune system constantly. Like, yes, he might have a higher VO2 max. Some of them don't, by the way. Just because you are in the UFC does not mean you are in better shape than the layperson. Okay? Look at some of the heavyweights. And I'm not ragging on just the heavyweights for that. There are plenty of people in the UFC in many divisions who are not in top tier condition. But you watch a card like this where the people who prepared and the people who had the time performed, I would say, up to their normal standard. And then you see the people who stepped up on short notice not necessarily perform substandard all the time, but it does take a step off, right? And you can still grit your teeth and get through it. But it does require additional effort from you. And it requires, and some people just don't have it. Some people just, maybe it's a bad night. Maybe it's just not in them. Maybe they're a little sick. Maybe they're 1,000 other things. But at these higher elevations, you really got to be on your shit. I think the more professional you are when it comes to these fights where the conditions are 100% of the time not going to be ideal. Right? You can talk about when they go overseas, when the open air stadiums where it's like hot as hell sometimes and humid. Like, sometimes it could be a nice cool night, sometimes it could be hot, sometimes like these places, like there's a whole bunch of other factors for those things, but 100% of the time you go to Denver, you're going to have less oxygen. 100% of the time. Okay? Unless you're already training at altitude. But that's what I mean. It's like, it's for sure going to be a substandard situation. The conditions are always going to be compromised. So, the more professional you are and the more diligent you are about your preparation, I think it really shows in situations like this. Because a lot of people can step up on short notice and get a win, like Silva. Silva got a win here. Anybody can get a win on any given night in any location. That's obviously the case. When you like step up on short notice and go fight in Florida or Texas or whatever or wherever, sea level, and the conditions are perfect and you're not injured and this and that, like, the lack of professionalism doesn't haunt you as much as it does when you're going in with like one hand tied behind your back, essentially, in Colorado. So, for all that, for all the things I just said, this card, not bad. Like, it wasn't a horrible card. It wasn't the best card I've ever seen. It was, like I've said at the top of both my videos, this was better than 303. You had to pay fucking $80 to watch that shit. This was free. Kind of. I mean, you got to pay for ESPN Plus. But this was free. So much better. I love what they did here. I loved a lot of the fights, a lot of the implications setting people up. Fun fights, stuff to watch. If you did not watch this one, I would actually go watch. I would put this on in the background for sure. Put this at work or at home or whatever. When you hear some of the fights come up, go take a second, go watch them, and then let them play around in the background. This is worth your time. All right, that is it. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. Thank you for making it for the whole video. It really means it means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have an amazing week. Love y'all. Peace.